also talk about Queensland's state nomination requirements for this financial year. And I will also be taking some live questions after I've explained the criteria. So if you guys can see me, hear me okay, just put it in the comment box. Okay, so we'll start talking about Western Australia first. So Western Australia's requirements we explained in one of our previous videos, but today they have updated their nomination criteria, and they have introduced very flexible criteria. So I will try and explain it briefly, their new criteria. So prior to today, if your occupation was on their Schedule 1 list, they have got 3 type of occupation lists, which is Schedule 1, Schedule 2, and the graduate stream. So if your occupation is on Schedule 1, now what the new requirements are that you need 1 year work experience onshore or offshore, and you also need a full-time employment contract in Western Australia for a minimum of 6 months in the nominated or closely related occupation. Now, if your occupation is on the Schedule 2 occupation list, then you do not need any work experience. But if you want a 190 from them, then you do need the employment contract in Western Australia for a minimum of 6 months in the nominated or closely related occupation. But if you want to apply for a 491 under the Schedule 2 occupation list, then there is no requirement of the work experience, and there is no requirement for the employment contract as well. If you're applying under graduate stream, then again, there is no work experience requirement or no requirement for the contract for 190 or 491 visa. So just going back to the Schedule 1 requirement. So if you want to apply for a 491 under Schedule 1, where you need 1 year work experience onshore or offshore in your nominated or closely related occupation, employment contract is not required if you're applying for a 491. But again, keep in mind that they are going to give priority to applicants who are living in Western Australia. Then they will look at applicants who are living in other parts of Australia, so interstate applicants, and then they will look at the offshore applicants. So of course, anybody can apply with them. You could be onshore, you could be offshore, you could be in their state or outside their state, but I think it will depend on how many people you're competing with, what their occupation, what their point score is, because end of the day they will be filtering down with the points that you are scoring in your EOI and when your EOI was submitted. So if your occupation is on Western Australia's occupation list, and if you do meet the minimum requirements, then I think you should apply your expression of interest with them. They have also waived the nomination application fee. So they used to charge $200. They have waived that as well. And also they have the requirement for proficient English, which they have waived as well. You also had to provide the financial evidence that, to settle in Western Australia if you were already not living in Western Australia. So that is not the requirement anymore either. So that is really good news. They've got more than 5,000 seats for 190, and I think almost 3,000 or above 2,500 seats for the 491 visa, so which is a very good number. And like always, they will prioritize their graduates first, and then they will look at other skilled applicants. So if you're looking at applying with Western Australia, you can get in touch with us. We can help you with the expression of interest. Doesn't matter where you're living, especially if you're an interstate applicant. Since there is no requirement for the job offer letter for the 491 under the Schedule 2, you may wish to apply your expression of interest with Western Australia as well. The next round is in the 3rd week of September, which is not too far. So you may wish to proceed with the expression of interest. Now, just with the Queensland, we have released the detailed videos regarding all 4 streams for Queensland and all their nomination criteria for 2022-23. So you may want to watch our videos, but I'll briefly explain. Now, again, I do want to emphasize that you still have to meet the minimum requirements from Department of Home Affairs before you will start looking at any state. So if you're someone who is still doing the PYP or who has not got their skills assessment yet, do not have minimum of 50 points of their own for a 491 visa, do not have competent English, then you cannot lodge expression of interest right now, so you're not ready yet. But if you meet the minimum requirements, under 45 years, competent English, minimum 65 points including state points, and have a positive skills assessment in your nominated occupation, then you should start looking at the state requirements. Now with Migration Queensland, they have got 4 streams. They always had 4 streams. It's just that they were shut for the offshore applicants, but now they are open for offshore applicants, which is really good news for offshore applicants. So for the graduates, you could apply for a 190 with 80 points or higher, or a 491 with 65 points or higher. You currently need to be working in your nominated occupation, but you do not need any work experience, which means that you could be starting work today and you could apply with them tomorrow. You do not need any employment contract, so that's good. With PhD and doctorate graduates, they don't need any work experience or job offer letter, but you guys do need proficient English for the graduates. If you're a master's graduate and you have completed your master's in Queensland, 100% of your master's, and your master's degree and your skills assessment is in STEM field, which is science, technology, engineering, mathematics, then you could go for a 190 visa as well if you have a job of if you're currently working in your nominated occupation. But if you do not have your master's in the STEM qualification, in the STEM field, then you can only go for a 491. So if you're looking at a 190 visa and you're a master's graduate from a non-STEM field, then you may want to look at the skilled workers pathway. But if you're a bachelor's graduate, then again, you're only eligible for a 491 unless you want to look at the skilled workers pathway. So for the bachelor's graduate, to be eligible for a 491 visa, you need to have a grade point average of 5.5, completed 100% bachelor's degree at Queensland-based institution, have graduated in the last 2 years, and must be living onshore in regional Queensland and employed full-time 35 hours a week in regional Queensland in the nominated or closely related occupation. Again, work experience or job offer letter is not a requirement for the bachelor's graduates who are looking for a 491 visa. Now, under the skilled workers living in Queensland, not much has changed. They've just clarified that you'll need a minimum of 80 points for 190, minimum of 65 points for 491, need proficient English, except for trade occupations, which is a good news because last financial year they wanted proficient English for most trade occupations as well. So for a 190 visa, 6 months work experience with a 12 months job offer letter. And for a 491 visa, you need 3 months work experience and evidence of your ongoing employment. So 12 months contract for a 190, but evidence of ongoing employment in a regional area for a 491 visa. Again, they have similar caveats like they had last year for accountants, for internal and external auditors, and for cooks and chefs as well. Now, for applicants who are living offshore, again, you have to look at the Queensland skilled occupation list. Your occupation needs to be there. And a minimum of 3 years of post-study work experience is required. And I think they have a good mix of occupations. They've got engineering occupations, health, teaching, and trade occupations. Some occupations, they do require higher work experience. And for some occupations, especially for trade occupations, they are not looking at proficient English. But for most of the occupations, they want you to have proficient English. For the 491 visa, similar requirements like last year, that you need to be having full work rights. You need to purchase an existing business which has been running there for 2 years. And last year also they introduced the startup business category. So they still have that where you're running a startup business for a minimum of 2 years in a regional area. And when you lodge your EOI, just 12 months prior to that, you need to have a turnover of 200,000 per year. So it's pretty much same for small business owner, but they have just clarified some criteria on their website. So this was the criteria anyway, but sometimes we used to talk to them over the phone or emails to clarify these things, but they have actually gone and put it on their website now. So there is no vendor financing, which was actually not allowed before as well. No share transfer, must have a contract of business sale, cannot purchase business from family member, cannot relocate or sell a business before receiving approval from Migration Queensland, Cannot purchase a business previously owned by a 491 SBO applicant, commission agents or leasing agents, or franchises such as petrol stations and home-based businesses, including those with virtual offices, will not be considered. Applicants must operate their business for at least 3 years in a regional area and may be subject to monitoring after the grant of the visa. They have also clarified a lot of frequently asked questions as well on their website. So I want you to go and have a look at that as well if you are considering applying with Migration Queensland. Okay, so let's have a look at some of your questions here. When Queensland program closed, any idea? So I think you're asking when it will close. Look, prior to last year, they used to close like in a day or maximum a week. But last year they were opening throughout. They had opened most of the year, and I think it will be the same. So they may stay open for a little bit, but of course, if they get too many applications and if they think that they will not be able to handle so many EOIs coming through, they may close the program for a little bit and then maybe reopen towards the end of the financial year, just before the financial year. Okay, Hobart finished automotive light vehicle at Sydney around December 2021, but facing difficulty to find a job related. Is there any other alternatives? Yes. So they maybe book a consultation with me and we can look at other options for you. So you're actually not in a bad state, so there should be some options for you. Is 95 good points for 491 in Queensland? I would say so. You haven't put your occupation, but for most occupations, 95 is pretty good points. Okay, need your contact details. Manjot, you could go to our website, sumandua.com.au, and book a consultation with us. You could choose the migration agent you want to book the consultation with. You could also choose the kind of service you're looking for. There are some services we offer for free, like student visa 485, change of course, professional year program. And for some state migration advice, we offer $55 consultations as well. So you may want to look at that and book accordingly. Which state would be ideal for offshore engineering technologist with 80 points and 5 more work experience? Most of the states are open at the moment. So if your occupation is open in all the states, I would recommend probably try with all of them. Qualified bricklayer 190 with 80 points. Confused about should move to Perth or stay in Melbourne. Bricklayer with 80 points for 190, you do actually have a chance to get invited pretty much in both states. We had few invites for bricklayer last year for 190 in Western Australia. So Western Australia should not be a problem at all, especially if you're planning to move. But you know how Victoria's got almost 9,000 seats for 190. So you do have a good chance with Victoria. We haven't seen any invitation round for Victoria yet. So you may want to wait a little bit to see what's in store for you in Victoria before you make plans to move. There is a chance of 75 points for 491 Western Australia. Please mention your occupation. But if you are in Western Australia, then you have good chance because they do prioritize applicants who are there. 80 points, early childhood teacher. So you're offshore applicant and you know that we do have a good demand of teachers at the moment. Most states are looking at nominating teachers. I don't know if you lodged the 189 because today a lot of applicants got the 189 invitation, a lot of teachers. So you may want to lodge your 189 as well. And I would probably try with states as well for a 190. And my occupation is not, can I go for 190? A master's from Indian Uni. Sorry, your question is not very clear. Please provide your occupation as well. New South Wales, Pathway 2, which one would be better, Pathway 2 or Queensland SBO? Also, can you please explain a little bit? Applicants must operate their business for at least 3 years in a regional area. Okay, so, you know, when they give you the 491 small business owner nomination, Basically, you are telling them that I'm running a business here and I wish to do so for the next 3 years, or at least they expect you to run the business for 3 years, unless, of course, you have changing circumstances. So if they see, obviously, they don't want people to just buy the business for the visa and then get rid of the business. That's not the purpose of this stream. So they may monitor these applicants who get these visas under the small business owner category. And I think they want to monitor that, do you guys actually operate the business or not? And accordingly, I think they'll make a decision about this stream. Sorry, about your New South Wales pathway too. We are still waiting for more information. So probably this week or early next week, we'll have more information about it. Congratulations, Rahul. Please share your occupation as well and your points for others to know. Yeah, they both considered equally as long as they are genuine results. Okay, so you could go to our website to book a consultation with me for offshore applicants. I think they do require proof of funds for that one. They require for onshore as well. Chef, okay. When I applied my EOI, I choose usual country of residence India, but I'd live in Australia. Sydney, should not be an issue. Should not be an issue. 80 points, good for 491 private tutor in Victoria? I think so. 85 points, management consultant offshore. You have to see where your occupation is open. I think your occupation should be open for in more than one state, so I would apply everywhere it's open, as long as you meet the requirements. What is a good guess over New South Wales work requirements for 194 civil engineers? Looking at all other states, I don't think, and looking at the numbers that New South Wales have at the moment, I don't think they'll have any work experience requirement for 190 or 491, but let's see what they come up with. Depends on your occupation. 190, 65 points, social worker, masters for skilled stream. I will appear with my husband, English exam. Even if Queensland closed, do I still get to update EOI? So with Queensland, maybe don't update EOI. So if anything changes, I would withdraw and lodge a new one. That's just how I like to do it. Accountant or management accountant, depends if you meet the caveats. I guess you're talking about Queensland. We don't know. So with Victoria, there is no set pattern when they send invites. There is no like set date. You know how with Western Australia, it's every third week. With many states, there is no such date. Like for example, New South Wales, Victoria, even Queensland, we don't know when they'll invite. They just go in and invite anytime. 85 points, 190, network and systems systems engineer offshore. Yeah, so with all the offshore applicants, guys, you'll have to actually do a thorough research where your occupation is open. And if you're meeting the requirements of that state, I would apply, if your occupation is open in all states, I would apply separately in all states for your occupation. If you do need help with that, please book a consultation with me, because we can actually go through each state and see where you actually meet, because there's no point of just lodging everywhere. You have to actually meet the requirements. Very good. Good chances. Mechanical engineering having 85 points for 491. You haven't mentioned your state. If it's Queensland, yes and no. So we'll see. We haven't, because they're still inviting high pointers at the moment. So we'll see what points they get to for this occupation, because like I always say that most of these engineering and IT occupations are very competitive. So 90 marketing specialist. What is your question, Harry? If you want to post that as well. Depends if you meet the caveats. So are you working in the accounting firm, and are you a CPA, CA, things like that. So if you can meet that requirement, or you could be like if you're the master's graduate, and things like that. So with this occupation, always because it's very competitive, so very hard to say. I would say good chances. We don't know, Vidya, so we are waiting as well. So we've lodged few applications. No invitations have been issued yet. Software engineer, 85 points, 190, 12 years work experience. I'm offshore. Uh, you can try with Migration Queensland because, with your experience and everything, and like they always give preference to people who have got higher work experience, when you're competing with someone at 85 points. So I guess you have superior English as well. I would say good chances. Um, yeah, look, I always get the employment assessed before you lodge your EOI. So if you're not sure about your documents, I would not claim the employment points. Okay, skills assessment for developer programmer, but working in the IT desktop engineer since 16 months. I've just got 8 months left for now. Yeah, so it depends. Are you their master's graduate? Because you do fall under the STEM field. So if you're the master's graduate, you don't need the employment contract. So, and also you want to make sure if you're claiming points for your employment, if it's not really developer programmer. So just be careful with that. Got 189 invitation as chef, 70 points on show, but in my EOI choose, I think I've already answered that, should be okay. Hi, Sachi. For 85, 90 points score for 190, is there a possibility to apply and get an invitation? Can you please mention your occupation? I just can't tell with the code. Applied ROI to Victoria when, yeah, we don't know that one. 491 from WA last month. Still, I need to submit job offer or not after new changes. Interesting question. We are yet to find out. So, yeah, if you want to get in touch with us, we can find that out for you as well. Okay, I think these are all the questions that I wanted to answer today. Sorry, just wanted to do a very quick live session to update you about Western Australia. So if you are trying with in your own state, um, it doesn't hurt to try with Western Australia as well if you were, especially if you were just trying for a 491 anyway, especially those people in Queensland. I highly recommend that you try in Western Australia as well, because as you know, Queensland is very competitive and we are never certain if you'll get the invitation, especially if you're somebody who's sitting at low points or in a competitive occupation. So do consider Western Australia. Get in touch with us if you need any help with your expression of interest or the nomination application. And if you're someone who has received the 189 invitation today, maybe you lodged your 189 yourself, probably then get in touch with our office. Email to team@sumandua.com.au and we can help you with the visa lodgement as well. Wish everybody all the best, and I hope all these people who are waiting for an invitation this year, it does happen.